Welcome to the Writer Reads Flash Fiction from another 365 days of flash fiction. This is the piece from month 6, day 8, A Worthy Challenge. This piece of flash takes us back to a fantasy world where dragons work to keep their world safe from the sirens of the sea. Lothar scanned the plains, shifting to ease the discomfort of stony ground as he peered from behind the rocks. Overhead, clouds floated, but below, the plains remained empty. "It's supposed to come and feed," he grumbled, releasing his grip on the crossbow long enough to stretch his arm. "And your people aren't supposed to know I exist," a voice murmured in his mind. The downdraft of a pair of wings followed by the crunch of stone accompanied it, and Lothar snatched at the bow, only to be thwarted by the weight of a booted foot on his wrist as another booted foot kicked the bow away. A hand plucked one of the bolts from its quiver, and a voice tutted. "Nor are they supposed to know the means to cause us harm." The voice, audible now, hardened. "Tell me who." "I can't," Lothar groaned, swiveling slightly to look up at the warrior's face. A high curving helm covered the man's head and neck, and a tightly woven corselet of ringed steel his shoulders and chest. "Can't?" the warrior asked softly, his mouth firming in anger. He held up the bolt and dropped it onto Lothar's back. "Or won't?" The bolt's tip was brought into view, then brought a hair's breadth away from his jaw. "Can't," Lothar admitted. "There was a scroll and a note. The bolts were delivered the same way." "And the bow?" "Instructions on how to modify it were given in a diagram the smith could understand." The bolt was laid on the ground before him, but the pressure on his back remained. "Who else knows?" "The note said to tell no one." Lothar risked a glance over his shoulder. "It said nothing about you having a human form." "Hmm." The warrior's weight shifted. "Then perhaps it is only you who needs to die." There was no response to that. The warrior was too heavy to shift, and Lothar had told the truth when he said no one else knew. He sighed, resting his forehead on the ground, and waited. The scrape of metal had Lothar tense and draw a sharp breath, but the knee on his back held steady, and the boot on his wrist didn't shift. "No last words?" Lothar slumped as the warrior slid a hand under his hair and pulled his head back. "No point," he managed, and closed his eyes. To his surprise, the warrior lifted from his back and wrist, hauling him to his feet by his hair. "Do you have family?" Lothar swallowed. "No." "So you will not beg, and you will not fight," the warrior began. "Not when pinned." Lothar tried to pivot and was thrust to arm's length, the grip on his skull tightening as the hand holding it expanded. Claws grew into his vision, and he froze. A leathery muzzle breathed warmth over his neck. "How about now?" "Sorry, no." The word came out as a whisper. "I need a hunter with good aim." Lothar gulped, but when he went to answer his throat was dry and his voice caught. "What for?" the dragon asked, and he managed a head-rattling nod. "The Baisnu hunt all forms not their own. You will protect your settlement by hunting the prey I name. Yes?" It was better than death, although hunting a Baisnu, even at a dragon's behest, might be considered suicide by some. Still, it was a challenge worthy of his skills. Lothar cleared his throat. "I will,